Okay. 1 second. Okay, and this is being recorded, by the way. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the second panel of the day as part of the Blackout Day webinars featuring BYP Network, Lendoe, Refined Currency, UK Black Business Show, Byooti, Guap, and Supa Talent, or Super Talent. I always get the name wrong. The whole point of today is that it is Blackout Day, which is a worldwide day where the Black community do not spend a penny outside of the community. There's a bit of a twist that we've added where we actually want you to spend within the community. So, you know, maybe our crowdfund, talk about that later. But the whole point is let's have a day of webinars focused on economic empowerment. So the webinar before this was Black Empowerment, Why Entrepreneurship is Important, which some of you may have been at. And then this one is just all about circulating the Black pound within the community. Then we have other ones such as Black Wall Street, Black Owned Media, Black Pound. It's very blackety black, essentially. And the reason for it is because, you know, as a community, our spending power is like $1 trillion or £1 trillion. That's huge. And I think a lot of us, you know, we have our private conversations complaining about, oh, Black people don't support Black people, or oh, Black businesses this, or you know, why are Black people so materialistic? So we have all our kind of hang-ups about our own community. And I think this panel is just about, you know, 4 amazing individuals that are doing stuff for the Black community, but is in to enable other people to kind of put money in the Black community. And we're just going to discuss kind of how do we do it, what everyone's businesses is, and how everybody that is listening can be a part of circulating the Black pound. I don't remember the stat. I should have like had it prepped, my bad. But there is a stat, which I'm sure many of you guys know, that is like the Black community like only circulates the pound 0.5% or something. Whereas other communities it's like 10 times or 20 times. We know that there's a lot of work to do in the Black community, and Blackout Day is a day for us to reflect and think about what our next steps are. So just to say a bit about myself. So my name is Kike Oniwinde. I am the co-founder and CEO of BYP Network, a platform that connects Black professionals with each other and corporations. We have over 40,000 members. In fact, it's edging on 50, to be honest. And we work with global corporations, so like Facebook, Netflix, Airbnb, etc. And our whole thing is to connect Black talent with each other and them. So whether it's for mentorship, Black businesses, you can post your events on our social media platform. It's just all about literally having our own Black economy, essentially. So this title is super fitting. And today is actually the launch of our crowdfunding campaign. We had a private launch before, and I think we're on £440,000 out of £500,000. So we are super close. So hopefully at the end of this will make you guys all like, yeah, I need to put at least a tenner into that crowdfund and be part of owning this business, as that is part of the point. But yeah, essentially, let me just give you a bit of background of why I started BYP Network, and again, why it's still part of the Black economy and, you know, all part of changing the Black narrative. So my whole background, grew up in East London, the same old rhetoric of single parent household, went through my own kind of trauma with my older brother, and kind of being locked away. And then me kind of going through this transition of like, what is everything for? What is the point in, you know, succeeding in life, having money, all this stuff, if those around you aren't necessarily benefiting or doing well? On top of just the statistics that kept being played around, not seeing other Black people in the industries, and even obviously police brutality and knife crime. So I just kind of really felt compelled that, you know what is the solution for all our problems? Maybe we just need to come together as a community, full stop. And if we come together as a community, there might be people who have the same ideas or new ideas, and we can come together and problem solve. So that was essentially the point of BYP Network. And that's what we've been doing these past few years, also by having corporate support and allyship as well. But there's a lot of work to be done. And again, it's a collaborative effort. So as in everybody has to play their part. So I think this webinar is so fitting because we will give you tips on how you can play your part. It might even be supporting these 5 businesses. It could be starting your own initiative, and it could be, you know, just supporting in any way. So let's go straight to Andy Davis, who will tell you a bit about who he is, his background, and his answer to how do we circulate the Black pound within the community. Andy, are you there?
Oh, you need to unmute him.
Why was he muted? He muted himself.
Oh, okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. 140 something people, incredible, right? Thanks to BYP and Lendoe and that British show for organising. I'm Andy Davis. I'm an angel investor. I'm focused on investing in Black founders. I angel invest at a venture fund called Atomico, which is a Series A fund, Series A onwards fund. As well as that, I used to run a US venture fund here called Backstage Capital, invest in diverse founders. And I very fortunately get to spend time with a lot of incredible Black people every single day, and involved in a group of Black founders and other groups of Black investors in something called 10x10, where I'm now putting together a pre-seed fund to invest in Black founders, and pre-seed ultimately just means really early. So doing investments of anything from 50 to 150K per company. The question that's circulating the Black pound, I think what we saw last, where are we? I don't know what month it is. What we saw last, where are we? We're in July, right? What we saw last month, what we saw with Black Pound Day last month, like if I go back a bit, what excited me most about where we're at in time now is that, like, I feel like we finally mean it as a culture and a people, and we're finally ready to go together. And Black Pound Day was a great reflection of that. Hopefully we have today reflects that, and Black Pound Day again next month reflects that. I believe it's August 1st. If I've got the date wrong, someone correct me, please. We're finally ready to go, and that means on every front. So what we're doing at 10x10 Fund, where anyone can come and invest, as long as it's if you've got a minimum of £1,000, that's a reflection there. Today's the day I'm going to be into everyone to go and invest in BYP, go and become an investor. And even what Kike is doing at BYP, it isn't about them needing the money, right? It's about us as a community and a culture getting the opportunity to be involved, and it's like that generational wealth play. It's like it's come today, it's come to us soon, like ASAP, and it's here, right? And what decisions we're going to make, and actually maybe everyone's been affected differently by the pandemic and stuff. But if there's if you are in a certain position where you have the capacity to be involved and to play a part and to take that next step professionally, join the BYP or become an investor, invest in BYP, come talk to me about investing in 10x Fund or being involved in some capacity. Now's the time we're all doing this together as a community and as a culture. And I feel like it's about us just being very deliberate with what we do, how we do it, where that money goes and what it means ultimately, because Kike, very much like myself and the others on this call, I'm great friends. I'm like super excited to be here with them. We play long, and we mean this every single day, and every action we take is so that in 5 to 10 years time, we're going to really do trickle down economics, but in the right way. We're really going to have that money recirculate and go back down into the community, into the community, and the younger generation, as well as back home, and it's going to stay with us as a people. I keep saying we should live in the same places, our kids should go to the same schools, right? We should eat the same foods, we obviously shop the same with Black Pound Day. We have to do that everywhere across the board. And I think now's the perfect time. We've started off well.
Okay, cool. Let's go to Mas.
Oh. Hi guys, my name is Mas or Masibu Manima. I am a founder of Translate Culture. We are a data marketing company effectively focused on consumer brands, so helping consumer brands find and retain customers. And we say consumer brands, basically e-commerce businesses or businesses that sell online, particularly focused on the e-retail space. My background is I studied marketing, then went into data. I've always had little side hustles. So I was one of the co-founders of Mixtape Madness. So grew that for like 3 years, and then I moved on, had a few other projects on the side. But one thing I was always interested in is thinking about ways I could use my skill set to help my community. So Translate Culture started almost, I would say probably 18 months ago. So I was consulting, just helping Black founders literally set up their data, making sure they're tracking all their web traffic, finding out what kind of best practices are in terms of running Facebook ads, Instagram ads. So I was just kind of doing this out of my spare time. So as I was learning in my workplace, I was kind of helping others apply. My wife also owns African print homeware brand. So she started off on Etsy, and is Natalie, she runs Bespoke Binny. And I just used the skills that I was learning at work to help her grow and vice versa. And what I found is what I was actually learning from helping her was also going to help me with my work. So it was quite interesting because she kind of gave me that sort of startup kind of learning, whereas I guess my job gave me that corporate learning. And what I found, it created this kind of 360 loop where I was getting promoted like every 2 years because I was kind of being really innovative in terms of what I was doing from my wife's business and to the company and vice versa. So from that point, I realized, actually, you know what I really enjoyed was just helping everyday people, particularly from our community, just start a business. And that's why I started Translate Culture. So before COVID, had 5 customers or clients, and now we've got 12, and our team's growing. And to answer the question about the Black Pound, I think, yeah, it's super important, as Andy highlighted with the Black Pound Day. You know, that was just shows what happens when we come together as a community. On my side of things, I would like to see more, I guess, back-end support as well as spending the money, as well as thinking about how we can help Black businesses. So I've kind of taken upon myself to help Black consumer brands when it comes to data and digital marketing. You know, there may be people in this group who are aspiring to be accountants, right? So think about maybe a service that you could provide to Black businesses, because we do need all of these different people to kind of support. And you got to bear in mind, you know, if a Black business makes £100,000, right, in order for it to circulate, it would probably be more likely if they had various different suppliers from our community. Then it's more likely that, you know, if everybody gets £10,000 and they then spend it to other sort of Black accountants and Black marketers and, you know, supply chain as well. So one thing we've kind of created is a community which most of the people on the panel are part of, which is direct to consumer WhatsApp group, and we meet up every month and we just share best tips on how we can grow together. And out of that, new businesses have come out, you know, people doing fulfillment. There's people doing sort of, I guess, social media have come off the back of that. So for me to kind of add is, I think, to really, I guess, extend the Black Pound within our community, we also need to be considering other services that we could provide to those merchants and various different businesses that are actually earning that money into the community.
Great, thanks, Mas. Khalia.
Hi, so I'm Khalia. I am the founder of Jamii, which is a marketplace and discount card for Black-owned businesses. So I got started a few years ago, and I was massively inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement that was huge back in 2014, 2015. And thanks, Andy, for dropping the link. And what I kind of found at that time is it was incredible to see as a community how we mobilized politically and how we took to the streets and how we were so furious and so angry and we were demanding change. But for me, I also kind of found that we have seen these placards decades in, decades out, like we've seen them, and we know as a community, we know we can do that, but there was something missing. And for me, it was the economic side of things. I know it was the same for a lot of people, because everyone was saying, you know, we need to support Black-owned businesses, we need to support Black-owned businesses. And me as a consumer, I was like, okay, how can I do my part? Just as an individual, how can I do my part? So I wanted to make sure that more of my money was going into Black-owned businesses, but I just generally found it quite difficult to find them. I mean, I'm from Northwest London, Harrow, which is quite a diverse area, but in terms of businesses, there's not really that many. And so what that was meaning was that I was having to travel 20 minutes out of my area to find Black-owned businesses to support that weren't just like, you know, takeaways, which obviously play a great role, but I can't eat takeaway every day of my life. And so I was trying to work out, how can I kind of make this more sustainable? How can I buy from Black-owned businesses as part of my daily life? And at the time, there were some kind of directories, but a lot of them were quite outdated, and they weren't, they just weren't serving my needs. So I came up with this concept of Jamii, and the reason why I wanted to make it a discount card is because I wanted to make it something which we weren't depending upon negative energy, negative headlines and trauma to inspire us to action. I wanted to make it something which was positive, something which would align with our everyday life, but also would break down some of the barriers that we face when it comes to buying from Black-owned businesses, because oftentimes we don't know them, if like for reasons like they have problems with access to capital, which means that things like marketing budgets are much lower, which means that oftentimes like we don't know them, we're not hearing from them, and we're seeing them on social media and we're being told about them, and we're having to take a chance to shop with them. And so I wanted to kind of just reduce the friction, to make it be like, you know what, I get 20% off. I'm going to do it. I'm going to shop with them. And not only am I going to shop with them, I'm going to tell everyone about them, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to continue to go back, because it's not about one-off purchases. It's about repeat purchases. And that's what causes real change. And so that's what I'm really passionate about. And kind of as both Andy and Mad said, Black Pound Day last month was absolutely phenomenal. From speaking to our partners, not just Black Pound Day, in June, people made more money in June than they made in 2019, like the entire year, which just goes to show we have so much money for Black-owned businesses, not just us, the community, because from my perspective, for Jamii, like our non-Black community shot up and they were spending money like crazy. And then when Black Pound Day came around, the Black community was spending money like crazy. And I think that's incredible, but it's something that we need to maintain and we need to keep it going. And so someone mentioned, is Black Pound Day a monthly thing? It is totally a monthly thing, but we need to make every day Black Pound Day. We need to make sure that whenever we have something to buy, we're looking for Black-owned businesses. And in terms of like, how do we circulate the pound? That means that, like Maz was saying, we need more businesses in more industries. So if you're an entrepreneur, we need gas stations. We need people who making toiletries and cleaning products. We need people who make light bulbs. We need people who make like all these small things, which are less exciting, I suppose, but so necessary, like toothpaste. We need toothbrushes. We need all these things that we're buying all the time. And as Black entrepreneurs, again, as Maz was saying, it's our responsibility to keep that pound circulating so that our supply chain is within the community as well. So that when someone is buying something from our businesses, we are then turning around and we are buying our ingredients, or we're buying our services from other Black entrepreneurs as well. And we're making sure that we are putting some of our money in our revenues into Black charities and into initiatives that are focusing on Black individuals, because when we continue to do that, that's when we end up with real infrastructure, things like Black healthcare, which actually center Black individuals, so that all these issues that we have, like with the NHS, there are other options for us as well. There's more for us, Black lawyers, Black law firms, and all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's me. I feel like I went on a bit of a rant, but that's me, and that's Jamii, and basically we're all about like, how do we make it as convenient as possible to shop with Black-owned businesses on an everyday basis. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Chenelle.
Okay, hi. Thanks BYP, Lendoe, and all the partners for putting on this amazing panel today. Glad to be here on behalf of Cornerstone Partners. So I'm Chenelle Ansah. I head up an organisation called Cornerstone Partners, and if you're not familiar with us, we are a UK angel investment firm, angel investment syndicate, started about 5 years ago in the UK by 6 co-founders, and then about 2 or 3 years ago transcended into becoming an angel investment firm. And I guess the why behind that is, you know, throughout the journey of thinking about wealth creation for the Black community, we thought actually something needs to be done and we need to reinvest in our own. And we looked across the UK landscape, and actually we realized that actually there was no firm, yeah, I can say there was no firm, no one had set up an institution that was solely dedicated to investing in Black-owned businesses. So, you know, we thought there's a problem, so we're going to solve it. So that was kind of the why behind Cornerstone Partners. As of probably a couple of days ago, because Andy's just launched his 10 by 10 fund, we were the only financial institution in the UK dedicated to investing in Black and diverse founders. It's really important for us. It's really simple. It's about wealth creation. It's about investing into our own. It's about supporting great businesses headed up by Black and diverse founders. We invest in both, well, we do both debt and equity. So we issue loans as well as offer investment for percentage of a business, which is what equity investment is. And we look at businesses that are post-revenue and post-MVP stage. So kind of at the pre-seed stage, which means that you need to have been past ideation stage. You need to have a product or service that's tried and tested in the market and you're gaining some traction. And we will invest between 50,000 to about 200,000, depending on the mix of products. For us, it's all about our investment criteria is really simple. As long as one of the founders or management team are Black or from a diverse background, if the management team is strong, if you are post-revenue and can prove that your business is doing well, and we think that there's an opportunity for you to scale and really make an impact, then yeah, we're interested in talking to you. So that's kind of Cornerstone. Alongside that, as I'm sure many of you know, we are really passionate about community and empowering the community and upskilling the community. So we do a series of webinars. We run an accelerator program at least once a year called the Scale Up program, where we invite 20 businesses who are in the post-revenue stage to kind of guide them through how they can get through to the next level and really scale their business so that, you know, they can get past that hurdle where many Black businesses find themselves, right? So what we tend to find is a lot of great idea, Black founders and diverse founders have fantastic ideas. You know, it's bootstrapped to a certain extent, and they get to a certain point where they don't have the capital injection to take them to the next level, right? And as some of the guys mentioned, you know, they don't have the budget to pump behind a massive marketing campaign so that more people are aware of their businesses. So these are some of the things that sort of limit businesses in our community from kind of getting to that next step. So that's what our Scale Up program focuses on. And yeah, this also ties into the point as to why capital is so important, right? You know, I think a lot of founders do very well, but they need investment to get to the next stage. Not all businesses need investment right from the offset, right from jump, but to get to the next stage, we have found that, you know, for the businesses that have fallen short, capital is the reason why they've not been able to get to the next level. So this is one of the problems that we're trying to solve at Cornerstone Partners. So today, as I mentioned, we are an angel syndicate. We invest at the pre-seed stage. I should also mention that we are raising for our VC fund. So we are trying to cover the full landscape of the investment cycle. So we do pre-seed, and we also invest, well, once the VC fund is set up and live, we will be invested in seed and Series A funding. So for us, you know, it's all about the cycle of wealth, right? You know, for us, we want to invest into Black businesses. We want to support them. We want to see them do well. So that, as Khalia said, you know, they should buy from Black businesses, create that Black supply chain, you know, really just kill it and do really, really well so that they get to a certain position of wealth so that they can do what we are doing, right? And reinvest into the community and reinvest into other Black businesses, so other Black businesses can then do what they're doing. So, you know, the way I see it is our role is that, you know, we're just kicking off the cycle, we're starting it, and hopefully would encourage everybody to do so. And in terms of you know, spending the Black pound, it's so important. It is so important. It's amazing to hear, you know, from Khalia that so many Black businesses in the UK made more in 1 month than they had made in the whole of 2019. This just shows how much power we have as a community and as a people, and we need to lean into that more. We need to be more conscious about it, right? We've had a lot of conversations at Cornerstone about what has changed this time around. And I think actually this time around, something within us has awakened as a community, and we are consciously making an effort to support our own. I would just encourage everyone to keep doing that because it's very important. We do have power, but we need to lean into it, and we really need to just continue doing the good work and supporting.
Great. Well, thanks, everyone. I think there's so much to unpack here. I think because we're on the topic of investments, I think, you know, what you might not realize is maybe there's a lot of people on this panel that don't quite get the investment world. Like, you know, if I think about my journey into entrepreneurship, I didn't know that I could even receive finance until like 18 to 2 years into my business. It's because the information isn't out there. So we recently wrote an open letter, Andy included and a few others, calling out venture capitalists that they are not investing in Black founders. The stat is that 1% goes to Black founders, and I think that's even a USA stat. We don't have it here in the UK. And in this grand scheme of it, there was a total of 13 billion euros spent on businesses last year to help them grow. and we're not getting any of that investment. So if you look at that and you think, you know, in terms of the topic of Black businesses, people do complain like, oh, maybe the quality isn't good enough, they don't have enough resources, or the customer service isn't good, or they're not visible. That tells you why. We're not getting funding, we're not getting investment. A lot of Black businesses are small businesses. I think everybody here knows someone with a side hustle or even has a side hustle, and it stays a side hustle, or it stays a very small business where they're just not making enough money. So I think there's something to unpack here to kind of explain to those in the audience, what is investment? How does it work? Like whether it's angel, VC, why is it needed? Why do people raise large amounts? Like, I don't know, it'll be great to hear from Chenelle and then from Andy on this topic, and kind of make it quite concise and easy to kind of understand.
Okay, awesome. So there's different ways to raise money for your business. And, you know, we talk a lot about investment, and actually depending on your aspirations and where you're trying to get to and what your business goals are, investment is not necessary for everybody. So I just kind of want to start off by making that clear, because some people do like just having a side hustle and they don't have aspirations for it to be a multi-million or multi-billion pound business, and that's fine. You know, but if you are the founder or part of a management team that really wants to build a global business that, you know, has 100 million or billion pound valuation, then okay. There's different stages, right? So the earlier stage, outside of sort of, there are loads of grants and stuff that you can go and get, and you can do your research. But in terms of engagement and interaction with investment firms, the earlier stages are angel investors. Now, angel investors are ultimately high net worth individuals that invest their own money. So it's their own money, and they use this money to invest into businesses that they are interested in, care about, or have some sort of alignment about. So what Cornerstone Partners is we're a collection of angel investors. We are an angel syndicate or an angel network. So we invest our own capital into businesses, and that's normally at the pre-seed stage.
What is pre-seed? Like, what does that mean?
Pre-seed is early stage, as Andy mentioned. So it can be anything from ideations. You've got an idea, because some angels do invest in businesses that, you know, just have an idea, through to businesses that roughly have about a 2 or 3 million pound valuation. And essentially what that is, you know, it's one of the first and most earliest stages of investment. Then kind of you move on to a next stage, which is called the seed level, right? And some angels again also do support this, but this is mainly where the VCs, the venture capital firms, then step into. And so that most VC firms will do kind of seed through to kind of Series E, and Series E is like, and plus is like kind of your Ubers, etc. So angel investment, and then there's venture capital investment. So you are right, you know, the stats are, it's actually less than 1% of venture capital firms invest into Black founders. Now, this number hasn't been quantified, so Cornerstone have commissioned some research, and we're doing it in conjunction with a couple of people in the UK to actually quantify that number, to quantify how much investment have gone from a VC perspective has gone into Black founders in the UK. So we'll have that figure soon, hopefully by September. That's when the report is due to be published to the market. But
hold on, I want to know, I don't know if people can raise their hands. Do people kind of understand what Chenelle's talking about in terms of investments and venture capitalists? I don't know.
Okay, so I can talk a bit about what venture capitalists are, right? So venture capital, unlike angel syndicates, where it is your own capital, you invest your own money, or sometimes, actually no, it is your own money, because even if you have a fund, kind of similar to the fund that Andy's just launched, people are putting their money into this fund, right? And that money is then being used to invest into businesses. At the venture capital stage, typically what happens is a venture capital firm will have funding from external parties like which are called LPs, limited partners, and these are usually large corporations and pension funds and ultra high net worth individuals that pull their money into an organization. And VCs, when I say VC, I'm talking about venture capital firms, literally will start off with anything between 10 million up to £1 billion in the fund, and they have the breadth and backing to invest more capital. So I would, some VCs do invest in businesses at ideation stage. I also do have to make that clear, but you will find that most businesses will approach an angel group or an angel syndicate first before they go in to talk to a VC fund and ask for funding from them. The reason why, I just want to add, people tend to go to angels is because the process generally tends to be a bit more relaxed. There is a bit of more, it's more relationship based, and angels are known to kind of support more earlier businesses than the VCs. Is that clear?
Okay, a lot of people said it is clear. I think there might be a separate conversation or something on fundraising, but I just wanted people to understand that, because like, again, my journey, I didn't know any of this stuff and it took a while to get to know it. So even to be here with the crowdfund, it is because I'm like, I want Black investment. I want Black people to invest in BYP. I talk about the journey often, that when I raised 18 months ago, I couldn't find a single Black investor. And I wasn't that much in the industry as well. I raised 150K with 4 angel investors. And now here we are, fast forward 18 months later, and we're like, we were already given like £1 million from 2 angel investors. Both of them, one was Asian, one was white, completely fine. They're amazing people. But I was like, these people can see the ambition of BYP, they get it. But why? I need my community invested in this too. And that's essentially why we've launched this crowdfund, because we're like, just put in £10 minimum, £100, £1,000, whatever you can, and watch us grow. Be part of our growth, because we will grow. We're ambitious. And so that's why we're doing it. And I think maybe there is a separate conversation or a webinar or something to do with just funding and investments. And obviously you guys at Cornerstone do your own thing. So it's something that we'd be happy to push out to our network. Especially now that we just have a directory of Black businesses. But we'll go on Black businesses in a bit and definitely speak to Khalia about that. But Andy, just maybe say a bit more about your angel investment school, and again, why this is about the Black pound being funneled into the community.
Just one last thing before Andy starts. For those of you that are interested in like learning more about the investment kind of cycle and learning how to raise investment, we're doing a webinar on Friday actually, and Andy's on our panel, and we're going to be talking a lot about that. So keep an eye, follow Cornerstone or Andy for more details to come, and then it will be based on educating you about the process.
Okay, that's good. We'll let people know about that. So Andy, just a quick one on it, because I would like to change the topic.
Sure. So I'm definitely on the panel on Friday at the time that I know I am. Yes, I am. So I think Chenelle explained it all pretty much. The other thing I would add is what I'm okay at is making people, or good at, is making people angel investors, right? Forever, I've just created angel investors. In that, when I was fundraising for my own startups, I literally just hit up people who I thought like, you're in an okay position in a certain like field or in a company, you must get paid X amount, like you must have 5 to 10K that you can invest. So I'd go and talk to them about, hey, the business and how it makes sense and how they can be involved, or like just get their feedback or ask for advice. When we them just there to ask for money basically. And at the end I'd be like, hey, like we're raising some money, I'd love you to come in, even if it's something small like 5K. And they'd be like, okay. And it's kind of like, there's people don't do it often enough, right? And at the end of all these meetings, and what I did as well, if you're trying to raise money, look at companies who are similar to you, and look at who invested. And if it isn't like obviously directly competitive, just go, well, even if it is, you never know what people are like. Just hit those people up and send them over some information, be like, hey, like I'm raising some money, I'd love to talk to you about what we're doing, here's some highlights on our progress. And it's a numbers game. I remember every night I used to stay up and probably, if this is before you're able to do that mass email stuff years ago, like just email like 200 people cold. And by the morning, by like 10, 11 o'clock next morning, 20, 30 people replied. I'd get like 5 to 10 meetings for the week, and you end up converting like 1 to 2 of those people. It's just numbers game, it's 1%, right? Like, and that's what you just do. And you find them, literally look at competitors, look at businesses which are similar to yours, go to like platforms like AngelList, go to platforms like Crunchbase, just Google like Jamii raises, and you see like, boom, here's a list of like the investors. a matter of fact, actually, like we're here, right? Just hit us up, hit me up. I'll hit me up on like Insta or Twitter or something, DM me.
We'll make sure we put everybody's handle.
Yeah. So I'm happy to chat as well. Mr. Andy Davis on socials. I'll put a link in.
Okay. Andy, I feel bad. I need to change the topic. There is another webinar after this at 2:30 p.m, which is called Black Wall Street, the Power of Business Finance. And it's a bit different to what we've just discussed, because that is telling you how finance transform businesses, whereas we've been talking about why it's important to put finance into Black businesses. So for those of you who are interested in investing in Black businesses and putting money, the Black pound, into the community, that is a great way. But I want to shift it onto Black businesses. There is a serious topic around people's views of Black businesses. So like I mentioned earlier about whether the quality is good, or why do we have to pay more for some of these Black businesses when it's cheaper, elsewhere. I think I'd love for Khalia to kind of talk on this. What is the difference you've seen, because you work with a lot of Black businesses, to maybe other businesses that you've seen, and why we as a community have to be patient and have to still support, even if we go through bad customer service and bad kind of examples of business owners.
So I think, yeah. So when it comes to those stereotypes, like, they really bug me, because I feel like those are stereotypes which are separate from the race of the business owner. Because I think everyone here can think of multiple examples of when they've had bad customer service from businesses that have been owned by people from outside the community, that are even big corporates. I mean, I've had bad customer experience at Tesco's, at Sainsbury's, at all of these places, but yet we don't kind of think, oh, therefore I'm never going to shop at a corporate again. I'm never going to shop at a Turkish owned business or a white owned business again. Like, we don't do that, because we recognize when it's outside of the community, it's just a bad experience. It might be the business owner just doesn't care or whatever. It's got nothing to do with the race of the owner. And so that's the first thing that I would say when it comes to that. We need to look at how we are assessing things, and do we walk into businesses, especially when it comes to Black owned business, do we walk in kind of expecting bad service, and then when it happens we're kind of like, well, this is why I don't shop with you? Because I think when it comes to, especially when you look at things like Twitter and it comes to kind of people's expectations, it does become a self-fulfilling prophecy if you walk in and that's what you're expecting. I also think that when it comes to none of the businesses that I work with I've never ever had a complaint about bad customer service or about a bad product, because they care about their business. And this is the same, like I was saying a second ago, when it comes to, like, it's not to do with the race of the owner, it's just to do with how that entrepreneur is approaching their business. And when I started Jamii, like, really smashing that stereotype was really important to me, because it's just nonsense. Like, it's just nonsense. It makes no sense. And when I started, and when I was working out like which types of businesses I wanted to work with, I made a point about kind of just speaking to the owners and understanding like how they approach these things, how they approach their products, etc. But what I do say to people is, if you do have a bad experience for whatever reason, first of all, you can always feedback. You can always say to them, like, look, I wasn't impressed when you did this or when you did that, or, for next time, blah, blah, blah. If you don't feel it's appropriate, or if they're not trying to hear it, like, that's on them, that's fine. But then just shop somewhere else. Like, you don't have to tarnish all Black businesses with the same brush. You can just find another Black-owned business, another business that services the same need from within the community. When it comes to things like higher prices, so I kind of look at hair care as a really good example of this, because hair care is somewhere where there are quite a lot of Black-owned businesses, and there's also a lot of non-Black-owned businesses who are competing in the same space, and there is a really big price differential. So first of all, going back to the fact that we really, like, Black businesses generally really struggle when it comes to raising finance. So that means that generally, we don't have the same economies of scale. We can't buy in bulk in the way that other businesses can to reduce the cost price for all of our products. And so that means, unfortunately, the price will be higher, likely. But also, second of all, oftentimes Black founders put a lot more energy and effort into creating certain products, and particularly when it comes to hair care. They often use natural ingredients. They don't use chemicals, because they're making it for you. They're making it for them, for you. they're making it to better you, as opposed to other companies who don't care, and so they're putting any types of chemicals into their products. And I think there's been studies of certain hair products and products generally that have been targeted at Black consumers, which cause cancer and cause really awful things to happen to us and the community generally. But those chemicals are cheaper. and so that's why you can walk into certain hair shops and you can pay £2 for a product and a Black British alternative is charging you £8 for, because it's literally destroying us. And so they're like, well, you can get it for much lower as well. So I think that's another thing that we just need to think about. We can't just look at a price of something and think, okay, that's expensive. Perhaps the owner is money grabbing, or maybe I can't, or I think it's too much, because oftentimes you are having to, it is an investment. You're having to invest into the business, into the owner, but also the product is usually better for you and for the community generally, and it's something which you actually should be paying that much for. And so those kind of two stereotypes, they really bug me. But I think it's important to understand like what is happening in the back end. It's not just that that Black business owners are just choosing to act this way or to put prices up. There is a lot kind of going on behind the scenes as well that is causing that to happen. And I think, did I answer all your questions?
Yeah, no, I think that was really good. And I want to talk a bit about visibility, because there's a problem where people are like, oh, I can't find these Black businesses. And I know obviously we have a lot of directories now and things like that, but again, there's certain industries where we're lacking. It'll be good to kind of hear from Maz in terms of what you do and why you decided to help Black businesses specifically, and how others who might be Black business owners can either work with you or even just do it on their own to really get that visibility.
I was muted for a sec. Yeah, I think visibility is definitely important. I think one thing we all know is how influential our culture is, right? From our music, sports, and so forth. And one of the key things why I focused on consumer brands is because it's a quick transaction, right? That's where a lot of money is made in the economy, right? Buying something, whether it's, I mean, Khalia brilliantly mentioned around toothpaste, right? We spend a lot of money on fast moving goods. But if you actually look at some of the advertising and how these brands kind of scale in culture or in wide popular culture, is through our communities, right? So we have our rappers, our sports people kind of promoting these brands, and we all kind of know like the value of our culture. So for me, it was like, well, why don't we leverage that in terms of actually, you know, increasing the reach and the visibilities for our brands? There are many like great platforms that we've built, you know, like Shade Bar, you know, the Shade Room, all these meme platforms that have been built from the community that I saw big organizations use to reach our audience and beyond, right? So for me, what we do is we mainly focused on what the community needed, and what a lot of the consumer brands needed in our community was that visibility and this discoverability. So that's around Facebook, Google, and YouTube, just wider discovery. And obviously my background being in data, I kind of understood how the algorithms of these platforms work. So typically what we do is we work with our clients to make sure that their products are targeting the right audience. Just on a stat, actually, one of the stats sort of I found out the other day is that people of color and migrants are twice as likely to have an early stage business than white Britons, right? So we're twice as entrepreneurial. And I think as the rest of the panel have mentioned, part of the problem has been the capital to actually invest in the marketing. You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody hears about it, it's not going to sell, right? So the capital and the visibility part is very much working in tandem. And I'm fortunate that some of the brands that I work with did have some angel investment, did have some capital to invest in their marketing. And the way we work with those businesses is we let them know that marketing is a long game, right? You need to create first and foremost the awareness, because people don't normally buy the first time they see a product. You know, there's a stat out there, you have to see something at least 7 times before you purchase. So we don't, in marketing, we have this thing called top of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. So and top of the funnel is effectively awareness. That's just people even knowing that you exist. And then bottom of the funnel is where you're reiterating the message to actually say, guys, look, yeah, I've got this offer and so forth. So what we found is those businesses that had the capital and the resources to actually create compelling stories about the founders, about the products, have seen massive results. And I think just on the point that Khalia mentioned earlier, some of our brands, particularly in the hair space, are a lot more costly than the typical ones that you'd buy that are harmful. But we found with some of the businesses that we're working with, particularly in the natural skincare space, is when we started to communicate that message to the consumers, they were converting, right? Because they understood why the founders started those business. They understood the health benefits of it as well. So just going back to sort of answer the question, in terms of people wanting to get into the space, I'm more than happy to have more Black businesses getting into digital marketing and data. To be honest, there isn't enough of us. One of my clients gave me an amazing feedback. He said, actually, the key differential in terms of our services versus someone else they were using who was from outside of culture was literally that cultural translation and being able to understand our consumer without having to be explained, right? So many of you guys, if you're going to serve the Black community, you're going to know what the do's and the don'ts when it comes to communicating something. And I thought that was really powerful. So I welcome more people to join into the data space, particularly digital marketing, because when it comes to e-commerce or retail, a large chunk of that is going online. So there was a stat in America, I think it was 10% of all transactions or all retail in the US was online. But during COVID, that doubled to nearly 20%. And that kind of makes sense because all the stores were closed, so people were forced to buy online. What we've got to remember is that that's a massive shift, right? Like we've got aunties and uncles who would never buy online, but they've had to learn how to use Zoom. So that's a trend that's coming. So I would very much encourage anybody, if you're good at social media, start your own consultancy and maybe just help a small Black business to kind of manage their social media, who knows? And then as you go through there, you might learn other skill sets that you can be able to kind of offer a wider service. So just to answer the question, visibility is massively important, and we really need to learn these platforms that we give so much content to, whether it's dance moves and memes and so forth, really learn it so much that we can start to build businesses where we actually control the narrative. And just to kind of end on that point, which is kind of linked to what Khalia mentioned earlier, in the Shade Room a couple of years ago, there was a post which somebody wrote, "Why do Black businesses fail?" And it was the most commented post ever. And what was so annoying about that is it was so negative, but then one person said the right answer to that question was, it's the same reason why 95% of businesses fail, right? We fail for the same reason that white businesses fail and so forth, but we don't give ourselves enough rope to actually, realize that we don't have the capital, we don't have the resources to grow. So we need to really change the narrative. And I think we need to champion a lot more businesses that are succeeding. And I know, these guys on the panel, and we're in communities in WhatsApp groups where we're celebrating each other's successes. So I think if you find yourself having a lot of conversations of why Black businesses this or why the negatives, really steer yourself to go into communities where there are positive examples, because that will actually change your mindset and actually enable you to start spending more in the community.
That's really good. I feel like I've got so much to say and we have only like 10 minutes. I guess there's a question there on patience. Like, do you think we're just impatient with our own? Like, are we so used to a level of standard? Is it just that we just, we already have our preconceptions, so we have our own biases towards ourselves? Like, I guess, how do we unlearn that? Like, even if I think of a great example of when I went to Nigeria and, oh my God, I had like the worst customer service everywhere. But at the end of the day, if I lived in Nigeria, I'd have to just suck it up and just still continue to spend, right? But I remember being so frustrated and like ready to go back to the UK. Like that in itself is me kind of not having that patience. So what can we do to unlearn these things and like actually, Black Lives Matter movement is kind of dying down. We've got Blackout Day today. It's not really in the news as much. How are we going to continue to push this forward now that it's all dying down, and to have patience when we're shopping Black?
I think you just do stuff like Khalia said, and Kay, please inject, I'll be 10 seconds, right? It's just about supporting each other where we see there's room for improvement. So I remember even I was at my mum's house early in lockdown, and there was all this noise. I was trying to do work, and then with what seemed like noise, it was loud, right? And then I said to myself, like, this is so loud. And then after I thought about it, and I was like, what's it loud compared to what? She lives in Sierra Leone, she's here. This is loud for here. This isn't loud for Sierra Leone. At 6 a.m. it's beep, 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 beep. There's so much. It's so much louder, right? But it's dependent on like what the standard is and like how we're measuring these things, right? So like actually by like Western and like this and the British standards, yeah, that's loud, but actually ultimately back home that isn't, and in a Black home that shouldn't be loud, that we shouldn't be muted or silenced. So same thing when it comes to our customer service and experience, there's a cultural difference which we have to appreciate, and if there's room to improve on it, as long as we get the service and it's delivered well, then we should hold ourselves to, we should accept cultural differences. We say something in investment all the time. White investors don't back black founders because a part of it is founders institutionalized racism, but like ultimately there's cultural differences which they just don't understand. So if we have those more cultural acceptances, we're all more proud of our culture by the day anyway, but if it applies like all the way around, then I think then some difference will be made. So, Kay, please.
I was going to say, if we're talking about impatience in terms of like, we're impatient for change, we're impatient for our success, we're impatient for our growth, I think we need to be impatient. We need to keep this energy. And I think, as Kike was saying, you know, things are starting to die down. I think all of us kind of knew that it was, you know, June was incredible, it was amazing, but we all kind of knew it was going to die down. But the thing that, you know, Jamii was really pushing last month, and I've always been pushing, is how can we set ourselves into habits so that even if the headlines, even if social media is not telling us to do things, not reminding us to do things, we are still making change. Because I think that is how we channel that impatience. So things like Kwanda is, I think, a really great example of like a chat. You can set up a direct debit right now to be donating to a charity which is dispersing money throughout the Black community. And you don't have to do that. That's an action you can take right now, and it will continue to impact the community forever on without you needing to do anything. You don't need to be reminded, but you're still having that impact. That's why also, like, I set up Jamii with the discount card, because I wanted it to be something that we can get people into a habit of spending at Black-owned businesses. And I think that is when you need to take that impatience and you really need to channel it into something. And that's how we are going to get change, and how we're going to really make sure that in a year's time, in 2 years' time, we're in a different place, and we're not just looking back to, oh, do you remember June 2020? What a great time that was. Like, that was amazing. And I think it's like, we need to do something. And I think as consumers, as individuals, you know, it was mentioned at the beginning, we've got like a £1 trillion worth of spending power, but we need to conceive of that as power. That is power. It's not just money. Like, we can actually make real change with it. And I think one thing that I've been saying, if anyone has seen me on any other panel, I apologize because I've said this on every single thing I've been on, is we need to think about how we can make change from now, and how we can conceive of ourselves as powerful individuals, and how we can make sure that we are tricking ourselves into 6 weeks from now, a month, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, to still be spending the same amount in Black-owned businesses, in Black charities, how we can kind of set up systems around ourselves as individuals to make sure that we're still making that level of impact. Because like I just said, we don't want to look back on June 2020 as a standalone month. We want to look at it as the beginning of something new, but that can only be so if, as individuals, we all decide to take action right now, and we look at ourselves, and we look at our bank statements and where we're spending, and we decide to do something new. And literally the best way to start a habit is to make that action on the first opportunity that you have to do something. Like, that's what they say about voting. You get into the habit of voting by going to vote the first time you're eligible. Go and buy something from a Black-owned business. Go and find a Black-owned business and spend that something. And then I guarantee you will be much more likely to do it again next time, and time after that, and the time.
Amazing. Sorry, we've got like 5 minutes, and we have to be on time because, you know, it's a day of webinars. But like, can everyone just drop their social handles in the chat so that people know how to kind of reach out to them? There were just a few questions I just want to quickly answer. Someone said, do we have a Black-owned billboard, or can we post on billboard or Black-owned TV show channel? We've got like Ben TV and stuff like that. I don't know if others know. There's not many. I know we posted on BYP one in America that launched, which was a news channel. We know, look, it's all part of the funnel problem, right? We need economic empowerment, we need political empowerment, we need media empowerment, we need education empowerment. It's like, unless we get that economic side of things, the rest of things won't be there. Like, it starts with economics. And I think that, like, you know, for today, the reason we're doing all these panels, and all of them do touch on different points. So after this panel is, you know, Black Wall Street, the power of business finance. Then it's Black-owned media owning our narrative. 5 p.m. is the Black Pound, building generational wealth. then we've got Black education and Black beauty. So like, make sure you do look at the list of all the webinars we have today, but they all touch on every point of Black empowerment for the community. So from start to finish. I think it'll be really great if everybody just says kind of one final thing in terms of, you know, how everyone can make sure they leave today and they keep the money in the Black community. So let's start with Andy, just 30 seconds.
Hit me up, happy to chat if you've got a startup and you're looking for some money, and you want to figure out the best path of investment for you. And if you want to invest in 10x10 fund, minimum investment's £1,000, which is investing in Black founders really early. I'll drop the link. You can do that as well. Great.
Mas?
Cool. So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Translate Culture, which Andy shared the link. Also follow Jamii, because we're actually going to do a report on the impact of Black consumers over the last 12 months, and especially the last month, as mentioned. We're actually looking for young people from our community who want to get into data and digital marketing. So so you can email me at maz@translateculture.co if you're interested. And then yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Amazing. Leah?
Lovejamii.com is our website, lovejamii.com. We also have a spending tracker on there, so you can actually see how much you're spending at Black-owned businesses. And we are UKJAMII on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thank you for tuning in, listening to my rant.
Chenelle?
Hi. To get in touch, you can email me directly at Chenelle@Cornerstone Partners or info@Cornerstone Partners. Go on our website, www.cornerstonepartners.co.uk, or on our Instagram or LinkedIn, it's Cornerstone Partners, quite easy to find. I guess the key takeaway I want to leave everyone with is, you know, you need to be the best version of yourself. You need to work really, really hard and just focus on creating wealth. When you have wealth, we can get on the billboards, we can create more investment firms. So it's really important to also focus on yourself, but also support and spend with Black businesses. And through this webinar, so many people have mentioned directories and UKBBS and how you can do just that. So it's important about investing in yourself and supporting our own.
Amazing. And I'll just leave it with, obviously we have our crowdfund. So, you know, if you're already thinking, what should I spend money on today? Well, I think that's a great idea. We're on 441K and our target's 500. So we're super close. And we love as much investment as possible. I think we've got about 530 investors right now, which is a lot of people. So we'll make sure we keep them up to date. But also, you know, check out the BYP Network platform. It is in itself an economy of other Black professionals. So you can offer mentorship, etc. Check it out. Stay on. No, I need everybody to go into the waiting room in a second. The next panel is on in 15 minutes time, and Demi will be taking over from Lendoe. I just want to say a shout out to all our partners. Like I said, Lendoe, Refined Currency, UK Black Business Show, Byooti, Guap, and Super Talent. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. Yeah, hopefully see you guys on the next panel, but if everybody can just go to the waiting room, and you'll be admitted back at 2:30. Amazing.
Thanks everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for everyone to drop out. But thank you, panelists. Amazing. We'll reach out to each one of you after, and we'll make sure we tweet everybody's links and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed it.